It's official. The Baltimore Ravens are done waiting. After a disastrous 1-4 start to the season, the front office finally broke the silence with a string of moves that didn't just shake up the roster. They sent a message, loud and clear. The clock is ticking, and this team is officially in desperation mode. The signing of C.J. Gardner-Johnson and the trade of Adaf Owa aren't just transactions to fill gaps. They're the first signs of a potential overhaul. And it's about time. This roster has looked broken. Not just underperforming, but disconnected. Soft on defense, predictable on offense, and most importantly, uninspired. And when a team looks like that, when the energy is gone, when effort doesn't match talent, moves like these become inevitable. Trading Owa and bringing in a player like Gardner-Johnson, that's Baltimore admitting, yeah, we got some things wrong. Let's be honest. Adaf Owa was never the guy. Drafted in the first round back in 2021 despite having 0 sacks in his final college season, his entire profile was built on potential, on traits, speed, explosiveness, upside. And to be fair, he flashed early. Who can forget that fumble against the Chiefs in his second game that helped seal a massive win? But after that, nothing consistent. Some moments here and there, but it never materialized into real production. And this year, it hit rock bottom. 10 total tackles in 5 games, no sacks, and fewer snaps every week. When a guy drafted to be your pass-rushing cornerstone can't even get on the field over rotational players, it's over. So the Ravens shipped him out. They sent Owa and a 7th-round pick to the Chargers in exchange for safety Alohi Gilman and a 5th. That's it. That's the value now for a former first-rounder. But maybe the return isn't even the story. The real headline here is what this signals. Baltimore isn't standing still. Whether they're gearing up for a playoff push or quietly preparing for a teardown, this is a team that knows the status quo wasn't working. The Ravens didn't just make room by getting rid of Owa. They added a real presence in the secondary. Gardner-Johnson is more than just a safety. He's a talker. He's a tone setter. A player who brings energy, confidence, and a chip on his shoulder every time he steps on the field. The kind of player this defense has been missing. His 6 interceptions last year with the Eagles weren't a fluke. He finds the ball, he finishes plays, and he elevates the guys around him. That's the kind of juice this Ravens unit desperately needs. But let's not pretend this is just about personnel. This is about direction. General Manager Eric DeCosta has opened up over $7 million in cap space with these moves. That's not nothing. That's a chess piece. And it begs the question, what's the next move? Because Baltimore stands at a fork in the road right now. They can either take that money, package some picks, and swing for the fences. Go get a disruptive defensive lineman. Trade for offensive line help. Try to salvage the season and chase something meaningful. Or they can burn it all down. Start the fire sale. Let go of veterans. Stack draft capital. Plan for a retooling year with a younger core. Both paths are on the table. The problem? They can't choose both. And no one has more riding on this choice than John Harbaugh. This is supposed to be the best roster Lamar Jackson has had in his career. That's the expectation that came with his contract extension, and with Harbaugh still at the helm, the belief was that the continuity would pay off. Instead, we're watching a team spiral. If Harbaugh wants to save his job, and make no mistake, that seat is heating up, he needs wins. Not next year. Not in 2026. Now. And that means getting DeCosta to spend that cap space. To move off picks. To go all in. Because let's be real, if the Ravens finish with 6 or 7 wins and miss the playoffs, nobody's job is safe. Not Harbaugh, maybe not even DeCosta. And that's what makes this so fascinating. It's not just about Owa or Gardner-Johnson. It's about identity, about philosophy. Are the Ravens willing to step away from their reputation as a value-first, pick-hoarding, long-term focused franchise to try to win now? Because they have to. Lamar Jackson is in his prime. You don't punt seasons when you have a franchise quarterback under contract and healthy. You don't waste years hoping young players will suddenly figure it out. You go out and get proven talent. You make the big swing. And if that means giving up draft capital or eating bad contracts, so be it. Nobody remembers what you gave up if you win. Look at what's happening on the field right now. The defense isn't just underperforming, it's imploding. No pressure up the middle. Soft run defense. Miscommunications in the secondary. Opposing quarterbacks are marching up and down the field like it's a walkthrough. There's no resistance, no toughness, no identity. That's not Ravens football. And that's why DaCosta and Harbaugh are being forced to act. Gardner Johnson gives them some flexibility in the secondary. His presence should allow Kyle Hamilton to move back closer to the line of scrimmage, where he thrives. When Hamilton is in the box, he's a playmaker. He's disruptive. He's the closest thing this defense has to a game changer. But with the way injuries and youth have hit the secondary, he's been stuck doing everything. The additions of Gardner Johnson and Gilman give Baltimore the depth to let Hamilton attack again. This roster still has major holes. The defensive line needs an anchor. The edge rusher room is paper thin. The offensive line is a revolving door of inconsistency. And if the front office is serious about competing this year, those issues can't be ignored. There's no waiting around for young guys to grow. There's no hoping for injured players to magically come back at 100%. There's no more time. So now we wait. Will Baltimore go after another big name? Will they double down on this shift in mentality? Or will they retreat, cling to their picks, ride out the storm, and tell us all to be patient again? Because if they choose that second path, they're not just wasting this season. They're wasting Lamar. And that's a decision that could haunt this franchise for years. But let's not pretend this whole situation revolves solely around defense. The Ravens' issues go deeper than missed tackles and busted coverages. Offensively, this team has been a mess, flat, uninspired, and inconsistent. For a group built around one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the league, the product on the field has been underwhelming, to put it lightly. The offensive line, in particular, has been a massive liability. Whether it's missed assignments, communication breakdowns, or just straight up getting overpowered, Baltimore's front has failed to give Lamar Jackson the time he needs to make plays. And while Lamar has done his best to keep things afloat, there's only so much he can do when he's running for his life half the time. It's not just protection either. The Ravens' run game, which for years was their calling card, has lost its punch. The downhill aggression, the rhythm, the timing, it's off. The line isn't getting to the second level, the tight ends aren't sealing edges, and the backs aren't finding consistent lanes. And when the ground game isn't working in a Greg Roman-less system, it puts even more pressure on the passing game. That's where things unravel. Because let's be real, this receiving core, despite being revamped, hasn't delivered. Zay Flowers has shown flashes of brilliance, but he's still a rookie trying to navigate a complex NFL system. Rashad Bateman has yet to prove he can stay healthy and consistent. Odell Beckham Jr.? He's a name, but not the same explosive presence he once was. And the chemistry just isn't there. Lamar doesn't look like he fully trusts any of them when it matters. It's third down, and he's either tucking it and running or checking down to Mark Andrews. That's telling. All of that adds up to a bigger truth. This roster, as it stands, is not built to dig out of a 1-4 hole without help. And that's the real reason behind these moves. Gardner Johnson and Gilman might stabilize the back end. But unless this team makes aggressive decisions in the trenches, both offensive and defensive, none of it will matter. You can't cover for a defensive front that can't get pressure. You can't run a balanced offense when your guards are getting pushed into the quarterback's lap every other snap. It's impossible. What makes things even more complicated is the psychology of it all. The players feel the urgency. The veterans know the window is shrinking. The coaching staff sees the writing on the wall. Even the fan base, usually among the most loyal and grounded in the league, is restless. And at the center of it all is Lamar Jackson, watching, evaluating, wondering whether this franchise is going to match his energy or waste his prime. Because let's not forget, this isn't just a quarterback playing out his rookie deal, hoping for a shot. This is a former MVP who bet on himself, got paid, and was promised that Baltimore would build around him. That promise came with expectations. And right now, those expectations are crashing. If the front office doesn't respond accordingly, what's stopping Lamar from shutting it down if things get worse? What's stopping him from checking out, citing a sore hamstring or precautionary rest if he feels like the organization isn't committed to winning? That's why this goes beyond football. This is about message, culture, accountability. The Ravens built their brand on being physical, smart, and relentless. This year, they've been none of those things. And that disconnect is starting to show up in the locker room, on the field, and in the front office decisions. It's why trading Owa, despite the optics of giving up on a first-rounder, was the right move. It told the team, production matters. Being a former high pick doesn't protect you. And if that message resonates, we might start to see a change in mentality. But that only works if it's followed up with more. Baltimore can't stop here. Gardner Johnson can bark all he wants, but if the guys up front don't get pressure or stop the run, it's just noise. You can only disguise so much on defense before talent, or lack of it, shows up. And right now, the front seven is where talent is lacking. The linebackers are getting swallowed by offensive linemen, the edges are slow to set the edge, and the interior line isn't creating any disruption. Running backs are getting to the second level untouched, and quarterbacks are stepping up into clean pockets. That's not sustainable. On the offensive line, things look just as bleak. Whether it's injury, regression, or poor coaching, there's no identity, no cohesion, no rhythm. You can't establish the run when you're losing battles up front, and you can't take deep shots when you don't trust your pass protection to hold up for more than 2 seconds. Lamar Jackson thrives when things are in sync, when the line is giving him time, when the play design opens space, and when his receivers are where they're supposed to be. Right now, none of that is happening. Which brings us back to DaCosta. Because as much as this is about the players, the spotlight now is firmly on the general manager. He built this roster. He made the picks. He brought in the free agents. And he decided to ride with this coaching staff. If it all falls apart, he's not getting a pass. The fans will demand accountability, and Steve Bisciotti, the owner who stayed quiet through most of this, may finally have to make a hard decision. Not just about Harbaugh, but about the whole operation. DaCosta still has a chance to flip the narrative, but he can't do it halfway. This isn't the time for cautious, conservative thinking. It's not about playing for next April's draft board. It's about maximizing the talent you already have. And right now, you have a generational quarterback under contract, a top-tier tight end in Mark Andrews, a young star in Kyle Hamilton, and a defense that, despite its flaws, still has the potential to turn it around with the right pieces. But you've got to act fast. Beat the Rams, and maybe you buy yourself a bit of breathing room. Drop that game and fall to 1-5, and this season could spiral into something ugly. That's why every day counts. Every conversation between DaCosta and Harbaugh. Every phone call to a GM about a potential trade. Every dollar of cap space. It all matters now. Because the margin for error is gone. The slow start already happened. The excuses have already been made. What comes next will define the rest of this season, and maybe the next several years of Ravens football. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support keeps us bringing you the latest news on the Baltimore Ravens. And hey, drop your take in the comments below. We want to hear from the flock. The rumor mill in Baltimore is running wild, and if the whispers prove true, the Ravens are about to pull off one of the most jaw-dropping defensive moves of the season. Sources close to the organization suggest that MYLES GARRETT, the fiery defensive end known for his unparalleled pass-rushing skills, is all but locked in to continue his reign of terror in purple and black. While nothing has been officially announced, insiders hint that the Ravens front office has been working behind the scenes to make sure Garrett remains the cornerstone of a defense that has terrorized quarterbacks for years. Imagine the chaos in opposing backfields. Garrett, already a nightmare for offensive linemen, could now have a renewed mandate to dominate without distractions. The mere prospect of him staying in Baltimore has sent shockwaves across the league, with analysts speculating that the move could tip the balance of power in the AFC. Rumors indicate that Garrett's presence will not only boost the defensive line, but also energize a locker room hungry for playoff success. Teammates, sources say, are already buzzing about how Garrett's leadership and sheer athleticism elevate every practice, every snap, and every game. There's talk, too, about the psychological impact on rival offenses. Coordinators may spend sleepless nights scheming ways to neutralize a player who seems to get stronger as the stakes get higher. For the Ravens, this could be a game-changer, a statement of intent that they are not just contenders. They're a defensive juggernaut capable of dismantling even the most creative offensive units. While the official announcement remains pending, the air in Baltimore is thick with anticipation. Fans are already envisioning Garrett wreaking havoc from the edge, sacking quarterbacks, and turning what-if scenarios into highlight reels. The buzz is unmistakable. If these rumors solidify, the Ravens' defensive dominance could enter an entirely new era. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay in the loop with exclusive news on our Baltimore Ravens, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what the flock thinks. Drop your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next one.